Summer heats up, so does your risk of heat-related health issues, dehydration, heat exhaustion, or heat stroke. Paying attention to the heat is especially important if you have a chronic illness such as diabetes. Here's what diabetics need to know about staying healthy in the heat.
I gotta give you a decent pitch.
To Teresa Brown, there's nothing like a family game of backyard baseball.
Nice hit.
Teresa has type 1 diabetes. She has to be careful when the sun soars.
If we know we're gonna be doing something that's gonna be fairly active, then I need to plan ahead.
Diabetes patients in particular are susceptible to the heat. Not only do they have to worry about their health, they also have to worry about the impact of hot weather on their equipment, their medications, and their supplies.
Mayo Clinic Dr. Curtis Cook says dehydration can happen to diabetic patients quickly in hot weather.
Many times patients lose the ability to cool themselves in the heat.
And high blood sugar levels also put them at risk of dehydration.
And if you get really warm and you're not hydrating like you need to, I think it gets blurry as to tell, am I just feeling this way because I'm really warm, or am I feeling this way because something's going on with my blood sugar?
So Teresa stays hydrated.
Drink plenty of water.
And checks her blood sugar before.
See, it's actually high right now. It says 194.
And after playing in the sun.
I'm doing good right now. This is good. I'm headed in the right direction.
Teresa's on an insulin pump that constantly delivers medication. It's essential that she keep her medication and equipment cool. Heat can damage the technology, even the test strips, and it can make insulin less effective.
Then the insulin can start to break down, and then it's just not going to work like it needs to in my body.
Insulin helps Teresa's body metabolize glucose, sugar.
Makes it more fun when you got to work for it.
So she's vigilant and takes care to stay healthy in the heat so she can pitch a perfect game to her family. Teresa says she checks her blood sugar levels 4 to 5 times a day, no matter what the temperature. It takes time and diligence, but she knows careful monitoring will help keep her healthy. For Medical Edge, I'm Vivian Williams.
Oh, why am I big again? Okay. Hello. I am so excited to be here with Nick. This is the first time we've ever met before. We've talked on DMs about the whole Jessie Lee situation, but I'm excited to get to speak with him, and I'm excited to introduce him to my audience and talk about all of the stuff that went down in Colombia. So, Nick, can you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Nice to actually meet you. Besides, outside of an Instagram DM stream, it's always fun to meet random people on Instagram, and I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
2023 is awesome. Anyway, so I'm Nick. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm also a nutrition coach as well. So certified through NASM, certified through PN Nutrition. I'm also a certified powerlifting coach. So I wear a lot of hats as a trainer. I work both in person and online. So I kind of try to help people sort through all of the bullshit of fitness, to make sure that we don't do all these weird crash diet shit or try to magically get in shape across 90 days, and doing so by going to the gym every single day and doing crazy things. So that's particularly why I wanted to comment on this video. So
yeah. And if you don't know, I'm going to do a quick recap. I know many of you have seen the stuff hitting the fan with the Prove It team, the Empire, and their leader, Jessie Lee Ward. We're going to refrain from showing clips. I have the unedited live stream that she deleted, the section about Colombia that Nick got to watch, and I will make sure to put those in the description after the stream. And when people were sharing all this out, Nick had commented in my DMs about the situation, and I was like, are we overreacting, or is this actually from a certified trainer's perspective? What are your thoughts? And can you, I guess, start there? When you saw the video, what was your first reaction?
Well, she gave these people a very short amount of time to get in shape for a very specific event, right? So she said it was an 18-hour hike, which most people in the world have never done before. I don't know anyone in the world who's done an 18-hour hike. I'm sure there are people out there, but they're few and far between. But people who are going to hike that much, they practice hiking. They do a specific training to get better at what they need to do. Now, an 18-hour hike, especially on the equator, is a very extreme event. So my first time seeing this, I'm thinking, like, she has no idea what medical conditions these people might have, how in shape they may or may not be, because 90 days to get in shape for this event it's not enough. If I could get somebody in that good of shape in 90 days, my job would be very easy, and I would have clients for 90 days, and that would be it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But that's just not how it works.
So when you heard her say, I told them to get in shape 90 days ago, and I was disgusted that everyone was, overheating 45 minutes into this, walk. You're saying that it's difficult to get people into shape in 90 days. So what time period? And I know, like, this obviously live chat and whoever watches this afterwards, replay crew, this is obviously not like us giving you advice or Nick giving you advice. I always recommend, like, go to someone. Make sure you're just not taking advice from people on the internet. We never want to say that we're giving legal advice or nutrition advice or whatever. Just Nick is speaking from his personal experience, him being a certified trainer and us a nutrition coach. So, but what Nick, what time period would you say, like, maybe it would take them to get ready for a trip like this?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned all of that about, like, don't take advice from random people on the internet, because the answer is it depends.
Okay.
No one's situation is going to be completely the same. Someone who may have not worked out for a long time and their entire life is sitting behind a desk at a job, it's going to take a lot more time than someone who might already be physically active. Maybe they do, like, a physically demanding job. They're on their feet all day. So, I mean, 3 months could be a good amount of time to get someone in general fitness shape. I wouldn't say not enough shape to do an 18-hour hike. That would take a hell of a lot more time for the average person. But to get in, like, a general fitness type of shape, it can take anywhere from, like, 3 months to up to a year, depending on where you're at. And you can't judge someone's, or I shouldn't say you can't judge. I should say you can't figure out someone's ability to get in shape just by looking at them either. Like, you can't just see who's on your team and go, okay, 90 days. You should be good to do an 18-hour hike in 90 days.
Yeah. I'm going to try to refresh my chat over here so I can throw questions on the screen, because I know and it may be because I'm streaming to too many channels right now. So I'm going to make sure that I have questions that are starred in the chat for us later. But if you are dealing with someone in shape, like, if I'm giving Jessie Lee the benefit of the doubt, next question from me to you, Nick, is the water situation. If you are training someone, obviously, and my general knowledge, I think staying hydrated is important. Most people, I think, understand that. If you were told we're only going on a hike for 2 hours, you would probably not bring as much water as you would if you knew the hike was going to be...
I bring this much water because I always have this much water on me.
Yeah.
But I never have more than that because I shouldn't ever need it. But for 18 hours, I'm going to need more water than that, just based on how much water I drink.
Yeah.
And that's just me as a person, never mind being out in the sun for 18 hours. Yeah, I sincerely hope that she said she brought like 5 gallons of water. I hope she shared that with the people that really needed it, but who knows?
Yeah. In training people, have you ever personally experienced, or when you were getting your certifications, were you ever taught or instructed on the dangers of working out and being dehydrated? And if you do have some knowledge about that, can you share that with the audience about some things that you can run into if you are exerting yourself and you're dehydrated?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this from experience. One of my clients, I remember on his first day, he didn't come prepared with water. We didn't have any at the gym at the time. So, we're going through his workout and we're like 2 sets in. And then I notice he's like really sweating hard. He's gasping for breath. I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? He's like, oh, I didn't bring any water and I think I'm dehydrated. And I could tell like he was getting dizzy. He told me he was getting dizzy. He was getting faint. So we literally sat on the bench for the 15 minutes, let him rest a little bit, and we didn't continue the workout after that. I was like, next time you've got to come with water. Yeah, not the smartest decision, but again, it was his first day, so like he doesn't know that, he's not prepared for that. So
sure,
people who aren't prepared for this are likely going to be running into the same situation. They'll start feeling faint. And especially when you're out in the sun, like heat stroke can be a very real danger, and people have died from that shit.
Yeah. I guess the backpedaling that happened after that first live that we downloaded, and live chat, if you have questions, can you put question at the beginning? Because I'm going to try to pop it up on the screen a different way because it's not loading on my end. But I will ask Nick when they pop in. When she was backpedaling, she said she exaggerated everything, but even with all of the conditional statements she made and trying to correct course basically on this wild story she told, what was like the most concerning thing that you heard her say from that clip that you listened to? That 30-minute Colombia clip.
That's a tough question because there are at least like 9 things.
Okay, well, we can go through them. That's okay.
But definitely something that stood out to me was, I think she said 45 minutes in, someone overheated and they had to have an emergency vehicle come in and take someone away.
Yeah.
And she just kind of glazed over that. I was like, anyway, then we carry on with our hike. Someone just got taken away and you're going to keep going when you know you have another like 14 hours ahead of you.
Yeah.
That is the biggest red flag of them all. Like that should be your sign to be like, okay, this might not be a good idea.
Yeah. If you had seen another trainer do that with someone that they were working with, or like more of a peer situation, would you have... That's something that I'm guessing, and I don't want to speak for you, that you kind of lose respect if you see another person in your field mistreating people. And I call what she did negligent, in my opinion. But if you'd seen one of your peers doing that or treating people that way, how would you have resolved that situation? Or is there like an advisory board with NASM or something that you report people to, or what does that look like?
Not that I know of, and I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of trainers in the industry who are not great. There are a lot of trainers who will bully their clients because that seems to be what they think will work. And, it's not something that a lot of these certifications teach, is how to coach with empathy or anything like that. And clearly that's not what was done here.
Yeah.
Is it immoral? I think so, yes, but is it against the policy of NASM? Probably not. Up to a point, right, where we're now endangering your clients and doing something irresponsible, then it becomes a little bit more nuanced, I guess. And under this situation, is she like a certified anything?
No, she's
okay. I didn't think so.
She, as she tells us, she makes a crap ton of money. She is the #1 girl bossing, network marketing leader on the planet. She buys a lot of cars. She gets to travel the world. She lives a better life than any of us. And she takes a lot of supplements, but she's not a certified personal trainer. She's not a nutrition coach. She doesn't have, in my understanding, I don't think she has any, I know she has a degree, but
certified eardrum burster.
Yeah, she
That's great, Jennifer. Oh my God.
Not that I know of that she has anything. So
Okay, I didn't think so because she was also providing workout advice for people, which
and
most
their
good
food.
trainers wouldn't encourage 7 days at the gym because that's how you get overly fatigued. Most trainers wouldn't encourage or wouldn't give nutrition advice wow, I can't talk. Sorry. Had they not been certified in nutrition of any sort. So I don't know.
I'm just moving the chat. I'm going to try to see if I can pop it in here really quickly. And
she was a power lifter in the past, really? I'm going to have to look that up.
I know that she also competed in a figure competition at one point, or she was attempting to, one of the like the bikini competitions or the figure, I don't remember, but I think she competed under Jessie Lee Ward. Or Jessie Lee O'Sullivan, and she's claimed both of those names. Certified professional gaslighter. Maybe so, Chelsea. Maybe so. And y'all, also, I'm going to be linking all of Nick's social media podcast links, so if you want to connect with him and you want to follow him, you also have spoken some on Beachbody, correct? On your Instagram.
Yeah, I've got some experiences with Beachbody. I did it. I didn't like sell it or anything, but I did like the workouts and stuff before I had any idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I ate out of those stupid little colored containers back in the day and really just like destroyed my relationship with food. I didn't know how to eat after that. It's like, how do I eat without putting it into the little container first? And then I learned what a calorie was. And everything changed.
Yeah. Well, Jen B, I snark with her and the snark crew, and she was in Beachbody. She was a diamond coach, and she ended up getting out and becoming a certified personal trainer and has other certifications now because she was like, something's not right here. And then she went and she got more education, and now she helps other people. So I think there's some similar stories of people, trying stuff out
and her
then
content
kind of
is
waking
awesome
up
too. So like shout out to her.
Yep. Caro is asking if you sold Beachbody, but I think that you didn't.
I did not. I was close at a couple points. My coach, he's little quotations there. My coach was really encouraging me to try, and I was like, should I? And then I was like, no, you know what? I think I'll get certified as a personal trainer instead, and that might be a better choice. Lo and behold, it was a way better choice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like you dodged a bullet there a little bit.
I really did. As I was starting to learn, I was like, these two things directly go against each other. I wonder which one's right. And then I started kind of deconstructing Beachbody and being like, oh,
that's awesome.
This is all crap.
That's awesome. So let me ask you a question. We heard Jessie Lee talk about how she was forcing everyone to eat clean on the trip. So they went from whatever diet or food intake they were doing before they went to Colombia. They go to Colombia and she's having them eat fruit and meat. And so I feel like for most of the people that might have been a big change. Is there anything to say that might be a shock for some, not a shock actually, but have you seen in your experience or maybe a hypothetical situation where it's potentially difficult for people to go from whatever they're eating before to drastically different food intake?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Just so I'm clear here.
Yeah.
She had them eat just meat and fruit?
Correct.
Nothing else?
I think maybe they also were able to have a sweet potato at some point.
Okay.
But
so
it was
they probably
clean.
had some real low carb intake prior to an 18-hour hike.
Yeah.
Which is not a good idea. Like, and if you talk to any marathon runner or anyone in any type of athletics, really, you want to have carbs before an athletic event because it's your body's main source of energy. So to kind of deprive the body from that and basically have it running on just protein, that's no wonder people were dropping.
Yeah. Chelsea asked you a question. Can you ever really prepare a group of people to endure a 15-hour hike in direct sunlight?
I guess if you specifically trained for that year round, you could. You start with an hour-long hike and then progressively work your way up to 15-hour hikes, but that's a lot of training.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd want to do that. Maybe some serious hikers out there would want to do that.
Yeah.
But these people aren't serious hikers. They're just trying to girl boss, right?
Yeah, and boy boss, because there were some guys on the trip.
Oh, that's right. There was. Also love how she was like, I'm not going to mention any names on this video.
Yeah, I love that. We've
and then
seen
Courtney
that so
was
many times.
like, sorry.
No, it's like, I'm gonna be private and I'm gonna protect people's identity. And then she was like, name. And then the mocking that happened, and she's like, oh, the person I'm mocking is watching me live right now. And it's like, oh my gosh. I guess let me back up. If you did that to your clients, I'm guessing they probably would not want to continue working with you, having you mock them on a public platform and talking about all of their failures and how they're so stupid and they're not smart enough to ask questions. But I'm guessing you fully inform them about what they're getting if they pay you for your training.
Yeah, I'm not going to surprise them and be like, hey, guess what? We're actually doing a 15-hour session instead today. I would not mock my client. I mean, I take that back. There's one that I might mock, but it's a give and take, so it's okay.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, like it's just rude to clients for them. And then pretend that you're not going to name them by name. Gross.
Yeah. Yes, Chelsea, she did tell them 90 days before to get in shape, but Nick had mentioned earlier that was probably an improbability of success to get them in the shape they needed to be to do this hike. Someone asked you, Nick, can you sweat out your pee?
Can you sweat out your pee? That is a good question. Yeah. I don't know the answer. I'm pretty sure the answer is no, because as you excrete fluid, it's either going to come out as sweat or pee. You're not going to sweat out your pee. I don't think that happens.
Okay, yeah, I don't either. And if y'all want to know, I don't know if Amber covered this, but her husband is a kidney doctor, and he had some choice words for her asking that question. So here's another question for you, Nick. Let me see. Someone is curious, Nick, what you think about Jessie Lee's no veggies and mostly meat diet that she's on, because she said that veggies are poisoning her, basically.
I see. So she's on the carnivore diet.
Pretty close. Now she also eats fruits now because her doctor, who's letting her take all these injections for fat loss, has said that fruits are okay. So she eats a lot of meat and fruit, but no vegetables.
Okay. Oh, so that's why she forced everyone into this diet. Yes. That makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
Duplication.
Yeah. So this diet makes no sense to me. I never really understood this. It seems like it's based on a few things. It's based on, well, our ancestors only ate meat, so why shouldn't we eat meat? Well, we have evolved past that, first of all. We are a civilized people now. We can eat other things besides meat. And it also comes from people saying, well, there are toxins in certain vegetables, which is actually true. There are toxins in vegetables, but the dosage makes the poison, as they say. So there may be some slight toxins in certain vegetables, but if you're not ingesting an amount that's going to be toxic to you, then it's not toxic to you. So I think it makes no sense. There's also a lot of risk of heart disease from eating only meat and fruit. So that may catch up to her one day. We will see. We'll see if it happens to Carnivore MD too.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, I guess the another big question I missed asking you, do you know about exogenous ketones in the product that Jessie Lee Ward sells? And if you do know about it, do you have an opinion on people? Well, this is my first question. Do you know about the ketones that Jessie Lee Ward sells?
I really don't know about them.
Okay. So the positioning is they have this powder, ketones, and they drink it twice a day, and they say or they claim that it puts your body into ketosis, so that you, I guess, go into fat burning mode.
Whether or not you have had carbs, it's claiming that?
Yes, they claim that you don't have to eat a keto diet, that you can just eat basically whatever the hell you want and take the magical ketones and all of the good things will happen to you.
Without seeing any of the ingredients of this product, I'm going to say I highly doubt it.
Okay. So, okay, the salt content's pretty high in them, though. So here's my next question, and I know you don't know about them exactly, but if you're on a hike for 15 instead of the 2 hours, you have limited water, and then you start drinking a salty type of ketone drink twice during your outside
you become
excursion.
Extra dehydrated because you're replacing water with salt. Oh my god.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I wouldn't have because I didn't know what this thing was until literally 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, you don't realize the shit that people are doing in, when it's not visible, and it's like, wait, is this really happening? Yes, it is. Yes.
Yikes.
Yes, it is. Here's another question for you. Even as an athlete, it's hard to train for something like this without knowing what disciplines that will be done. What is needed to get to this point in 90 days? Is it doable?
Definitely not. It is definitely not doable in 90 days. And I think I kind of touched on this earlier when I said, when someone asked, can you prepare for a 15-hour hike? Yeah, you can progressively overload anything. And if you don't know what that means, so it's basically like you start small and you get better at something. You can do that with starting with a 15-minute walk to a 30-minute walk to a 45-minute walk to a 1-hour hike to a 2-hour hike. And it's going to take a long time to get there, especially in the 95-degree sun. But it's not going to take 90 days.
That's good to know. Might have been. Yes. I'm just trying to read through this. For some reason, my chat's not working, my chat's working in YouTube, but not here in Restream. So I'm double checking. Someone said, laughing my ass off, Nick's so chill. Oh, okay. So that's why she forced people into the diet. Yep. Nick is the best. Maybe he will be willing to come back on the stream sometime for sure.
I would, for sure.
Let's see. Here's a question. So just some cardio isn't enough to get people ready to be surprised hike with a 15-hour march of death.
It's going to help.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be your end all be all. So if you do 30-minute cardio to 15-hour cardio, that's a big difference.
Sure.
So, yeah, you're definitely not going to be prepared for not just the physical conditions that go on of a 15-hour hike in normal weather, never mind being unprepared food and water-wise. And it's crazy that she gave them so little information because any normal person would need to be prepared for a 15-hour hike.
Yeah, I mean, her whole goal apparently was to break them down and to identify the losers on her team. Have you ever been in a position as a trainer where you're like, you know what? I just need to find out who my loser clients are because I don't want to work with them anymore. So I'm going to surprise them with the workout from hell that they never wanted because I want them to break, and whoever doesn't break gets to keep paying me. Yeah, I'm guessing you've never...
No. No, in fact, I want to find out who the person is that's going to break because I want to help them the most.
Yeah.
Like, it's the person that's going to struggle the most that's going to need my help the most.
Yeah.
So those are the people that I want. The people that are already okay, that aren't going to break, they probably don't need my help.
Yeah. That's a good perspective. It's so refreshing to hear after all of the fuckery that we've been experiencing with Jessie Lee Ward. We've got another question, Nick. What is your favorite vegetable?
I've been really into broccoli. I love, because I am the laziest person in the world and I hate cooking. The frozen bag of broccoli that you just throw in the freezer for 5 minutes. I'm like, got veggies, didn't have to prep them, didn't have to cook them. All about it.
Love it. Love that. Oh, so you don't think that frozen vegetables are, or frozen anything is a subpar food choice like Jessie Lee Ward does?
This is a fun question. I love it. So, fresh vegetables, frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, they're vegetables, right? I don't care if they're grown in a mad scientist lab. They're still vegetables. They still have nutrients in them. In fact, frozen vegetables often have more nutrients than fresh vegetables because they're flash frozen at their peak ripeness. So there is nothing wrong with frozen vegetables.
So Jessie Lee Ward hating on the frozen vegetables is absolute bullshit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We've got another question. What are your thoughts on how Jessie Lee Ward handled someone being a diabetic on the hike?
She should have known that going into it. The fact that she was surprised that there was a diabetic coming on an 18-hour hike is extremely alarming. I don't know if she was type 1 or type 2, if she needed insulin, if she had her medication, anything like that. There's a lot of information that we don't know on that, unless more people have found out at this point. I don't know. If there's more information, I'd love to hear about it because I'm concerned for this person.
Yeah, so we did find a little bit more information. She's a type 2 diabetic, and that same person also has claimed that and she was talking about herself in the third person, that she had the diabetic on the trip is no more, that she does not consider herself to have diabetes anymore because of Jessie Lee Ward and Sasha and Mateo.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I'll send you the video after the stream. She is saying that she does not have diabetes anymore.
The cure. We finally found the cure for diabetes. After all this time we've been searching, all we need to do is go on a 15-hour hike with no water and no diabetes medication. There it is, everyone.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. All the scientists missed it. All of everyone for all of time missed it. So, I was just like, what is happening? What in the brainwashing is going on right now? Because one, if you don't feel safe enough to be vulnerable or have a condition on her team, because obviously Jessie Lee Ward views you as the weak subpar person with either excess weight or a comorbidity or whatever it is. And so it is concerning to me, is she going to take care of herself like she should because she's trying to distance herself from her diagnosis?
I don't know. I don't know what to say to that one.
Yeah, it's so wild. I mean, I know it's the question you were never expecting. It's the situation I'm sure you were never expecting to hear, that someone, after going on a 15-hour hike from hell, has decided that that was the best thing that's ever happened to them and they don't have diabetes anymore. I think it's wild.
That is literally insane. I don't use that word insane often, but that is literally insane. That you're wrong. Like, clearly you're wrong that you don't tell your go tell your doctor that you don't have diabetes anymore, and let's find the result of that.
Yeah. Literally, that's not how that works. Here's another question. Mental blocks can come up in sports. Could something like this create a mental block in working out in the future? I only know about sports, but could it happen for gym workouts?
I just want to try and understand this question a little better. So you're asking if this hiking event might create a mental block in the future, like say that you're on the treadmill and I don't know, you get like a little flashback to this moment and that could create a mental block. Sure. I think someone might be very burnt out of doing hiking after this. I would never want to hike again after this situation.
Sure.
And any exercise that might resemble hiking might feel like that and create some kind of mental block. Yeah, I think that's very possible.
Yeah. Another question. Could a hike like this, could the 15-hour, I mean, I think they were gone for close to 24 hours, but could could it potentially hurt the body for a while, especially if hardcore workouts are pushed after it? Because when they came back from the hike, fully enlightened, fully on board with Jessie Lee Ward's plan to take over the world through the multi-level marketing company, and for legal purposes, that's joke, I'm being sarcastic, but they're so excited. They made it through. They got their full body massages. They're feeling exhausted and sleep deprived and healthy because they're eating all of the things that Jessie Lee Ward's telling them, and she's not yelling at them. But that huge physical experience they had, that person's just asking, like, are there consequences after something like this?
Yeah, I don't know that there are any long-term effects that would come unless someone had an injury on the trip. So if someone broke a knee, tore a ligament or something on the knee, or anywhere really, yes, there will be long-term side effects from that. I don't think we're going to hear about that if that happens. So could go either way.
Sure.
But things that you might not see, you could get some short-term stuff like shin splints, plantar fasciitis, maybe even some stress fractures if people continue to work out after this, because I know you mentioned that. Seems like after their massage, they might have continued to do hard workouts, which doesn't make sense. You literally just probably did the hardest workout of your life. Take a rest day. Overtraining, fatigue. Yeah, those are all going to happen. As far as long-term effects, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really say specifically, but it could happen.
Yeah, so okay, I guess hypothetical, you have a client who's maybe going to be doing a competition, a powerlifting competition, or they're getting ready for a big event. What, if you're their coach, if you're the person working with them after a big event, what does your protocol, I mean, not to reveal trade secrets, but are you giving them rest days after big events like that? Are you like active rest, kind of like stretching, taking it easy, or what's...
Yeah, anyone that I coach through a powerlifting meet, once they have their meet, they take a full week off after that.
Okay.
Like as little movement as possible. Maybe some walking, that's about it. I wouldn't have them do any more than that because you've just pushed your body to its absolute limit, and you now need time for your muscles, your joints, your central nervous system to recover.
Yeah.
And if you don't allow that time and go right back into it, that's how long-term injuries will occur.
I mean, that's good to know. And I'm assuming for one of these powerlifting meets that their nutrition's on point, that their hydration's on point, that they've, prepared for it, that there's lots of factors that are in the plus column because they know exactly what they're going to be, going up against for like what they have to do to place or whatever, and that they're eating enough food, they're drinking enough water, they're taking whatever supplements that you're recommending and stuff, and it just seems like, and you're having them rest after this big physical exertion as well. It just seems wildly different than what we saw with this hell hike that
it's not even just after the competition, it's before too. So like 4 to 5 days before, it's literally move as little as possible. I instruct people to sit as much as humanly possible, so that your body is primed for competition, and the days leading up to it should be very high carb, especially day before and day of. So again, the fact that there's just meat and fruit, that's the worst thing that you can do energy-wise, is just supply yourself with meat and fruit. So
here's another question for you. What considerations do you give / would you give to your clients that might have diabetes? Have you ever worked with a client who has...
Yeah, so again, like, I'm not their doctor, but if someone has diabetes, first and foremost, I'm going to know about it.
Yeah.
That's not going to come as a surprise to me. I work with 2 clients who have diabetes right now in person, and it's just understanding what they need during the workout, making sure that they're hydrated enough, and they know how their body's going to react. So if they start feeling that something's a little off, making sure that they let me know, and we do what we need to do, whether that's stopping the workout, stopping to drink water, or if they need to leave.
Yeah. So again, it's still wild to think that people weren't comfortable, because I'm guessing people didn't feel that that it was a safe place, and this is just an assumption on my part, that it wasn't safe, that they could speak up and say, something feels wrong, this doesn't feel right, I would like to leave. I'm guessing in your situation with your clients that you've encouraged an environment where they can speak up if something doesn't feel right with a lift, or something doesn't feel right with an exercise, and like their health is a priority, not meeting the goals just for the sake of meeting their goals for their workout.
Yeah. I want people to be as open and communicative with me as possible. I want to know literally everything that you can possibly tell me, because all this is important data to try and get you to better. And sometimes that data is, hey, I'm too fatigued to do this right now. And that's your body telling you, okay, we've pushed to a point where we should no longer keep pushing and we should scale back from this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super important to have that environment of, you can tell me anything you want, and if you need to leave, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to find out if our defibrillator at the gym works, because I don't know if it does. I would hope it does.
Yeah, that would
I'm
be
not
good.
saying which gym I work for.
That definitely would be good to know.
Well, we've never had to use it, so
Yeah,
I think we had it inspected recently. So
Yeah,
I'm
no,
pretty sure that's where.
yes, no, that's good. I'm trying to see if there's a few other questions. Let me ask you this, Nick. When you were watching the video, were there any gaps in the story where you had questions based off of your experience? Like, I wonder if this, or I wonder if they had this, that maybe would have made it make sense with the whole situation that Jessie Lee Ward had set up? Like, would there ever be other additional factors that we weren't told about that you would have said, oh, well, that makes sense now. The hike wasn't, negligent or potentially abusive?
The only way that I could see that this hike being not negligent or potentially abusive, if there was this big gap where, like at the end of Lord of the Rings, where the birds took them off from Mount Doom and had them fly back to, like, that would be the only way that it would be okay.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's good. Someone had a question. How do you communicate without criticizing a person's choices? The diabetic's choice to eat the candy bar is the example they're giving.
Yeah, that's great. And I am glad you brought that up, because that jumped out to me too, was that that she shamed them for somebody eating a candy bar. I don't think anybody should be criticizing anyone's choices, especially when it comes to food, because there are no good and bad foods. There's just food.
Yeah.
So, when I'm communicating with clients, I'm trying to encourage their healthy habits, and maybe get them to think about ones that might not be serving them.
So when you heard, I know that the story was being told in a way that she was trying to be funny, but was the way that she responded about the candy bar, calling it contraband, I don't know, how am I going to word this? That kind of tells me a little bit about how she views nutrition herself. How, if maybe someone's in a situation where they're working with a trainer, or they're working with someone who does view food as good and bad, are there resources that they can look at to try to educate themselves online about learning more about food not being good or bad? Or
I'm really glad you asked this because I had something in mind.
Okay.
It's a video of a colleague of mine. I would say I wouldn't really call him a colleague, but so if you look up on YouTube, I know this is like, here's the resource. It's a YouTube video.
Yes, love it. I love it. I love a YouTube video.
But it's by Jordan Syatt. So he's a fitness coach. I learned a lot of what I know from what I've learned from him. Met him in person. He's a super awesome guy. Look up Syatt Fitness Big Mac Challenge.
Okay.
So what he did was he ate a Big Mac for 30 days every day, but stayed within a calorie deficit to see if he could lose weight while eating a Big Mac. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that, like, when it comes to fat loss, like, calories is what actually matters. And you're not going to get sick or feel like shit all the time from eating a little bit of fast food sometimes. Now, in the video, he mentions, like, I don't recommend you do this. I don't recommend that everyone should be eating a Big Mac every day for 30 days. It's not good for you to do that. But it's having a Big Mac once in a while isn't going to kill you. It's not going to make you magically unhealthy, just like eating a salad doesn't make you magically healthy.
Yeah.
So if you're really struggling with the idea of whether food is good or bad, I highly recommend you watch this video. It really kind of opened my eyes back when I was eating out of little containers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely make sure to link that in the description after the stream is done. We have another question. Did it seem like this comes from Uriagram. Did it seem like the breaks they took for dinner and the birds were not enough due to the heat and total time of the hike?
Yeah, probably not enough. I don't know how long we took for breaks. I don't know what they had for dinner, but regardless, that's too long for anyone who's never done that. Sure. I like to think that I'm in pretty decent shape. I couldn't do a 15-hour hike. Hell no.
Yeah. So with your clients, what is, and I don't want to give someone a cookie cutter answer and them take it for themselves, but what is the ratio for when should you take a break, or when do you recommend people to take a break if they are doing physical activity and stuff like that?
Again, it depends. Depends on what you're doing, really, first and foremost. If you're lifting, if you're doing like big, heavy lifts, I recommend 3 to 4 minutes in between sets. If it's like smaller, like isolation muscle stuff, like 1 to 2 minutes is fine. As far as cardio goes, that can go literally anywhere. You could do 30 minutes straight on. You could do an hour straight on with no rest, or you could take rests in between. If you're doing a 15-hour something, you definitely need to be taking rests in between, no matter what. Like, people need to stop and sit and drink and eat and all that stuff. So it's a very broad question. I don't have a specific answer.
Sure. And I guess this is another question that I'm just thinking about as we're talking. How can someone do a better job advocating for themselves if they're working with a coach who doesn't maybe have their best interest in mind? What are some things that they can look for, or for example, my coach or whatever, and this is just a pretend example, but let's say your coach is saying just push through it. What are there anything that you tell your clients that if the pain's like this, if you're feeling like this, like you need to take a break, or is there some kind of general guide online that people can look at? Or
I would say kind of my general guidance.
Sure.
If something hurts, something's wrong.
Okay.
They're like, it's not supposed to tickle. You're supposed to feel like that dull ache. But if you feel like a stabbing pain or pains anywhere from like above a 5 out of a 10, then something's wrong.
Sure.
But yeah, it's not supposed to tickle. It is supposed to burn. So
okay. Yeah.
You have to kind of distinguish like pain of a muscle burning versus pain of a joint hurting. Pain of any kind of sharp pain is just immediate, like, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah. Okay, people are linking stuff in the chat, which is great. Here is another question. How many qualified PTs do you think should have been on this hike for safety?
I don't know that they needed to have a PT on this, but I definitely think they should have had a doctor on hand for safety. They should have had EMTs on standby, really.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't. They just shouldn't have done it at all, really.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, we're all, at least for me, it's like, okay, am I over exaggerating? Am I blowing this out of proportion? It does seem dangerous, but it's like, how could Jessie Lee have advocated for her team more instead of just saying, you're the weakest person I've ever met. I'm kind of disgusted that you're on my team and you're fat. And that's basically what she told them. Like, I would be happy that you're contributing to my downline because I'm getting, benefit. My commission check is incredible, but you're too fat and too out of shape and too soft for me to be proud of you. So we're going to do this to toughen you up. It is just a wild perspective to have, like watching that and still trying to be like, well, how could have this been healthy? Because it doesn't seem healthy in any situation as I keep thinking about it.
I'm not sure what that has to do with anything.
Yeah.
Like how in shape they are. What does that have to do with how well they perform in your downline? And it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't get it. And I don't get why she was shaming them at the end, too, because she was like, oh, I'm really disappointed about how none of you took care of yourselves. But they just did a 15-hour hike. That's something that every single one of those people should be proud of, even though they got forced into doing it, or I don't know if I want to say the word forced, but they didn't expect to do this, and they did a 15-hour hike. That's impressive to any normal human. Yeah,
and I know, like, legally, we've talked to the attorney generals of multiple states. We've talked to Clown Town has talked to local law enforcement to be like, hey, this is a situation. Can anything be done? And they're like, oh, they're consenting adults. But my positioning is they didn't have the chance to say yes or no in a true sense because she actively deceived them. Because she said, I purposely told them it was 2 hours, and I knew it wasn't going to be 2 hours. I knew it was going to be way longer because I was trying to break them, which seems wildly inappropriate. And
I'm very curious where the legality lies in that.
Yeah, I am too. I know that undue influence is more for elder care and some other like nuanced parts of the law, but it seems that it should apply to other areas too, because if someone is making a decision based off of false information, it just seems wild that nobody's going to get in trouble. And she lucked out that nobody got hurt, and I'm glad that nobody got hurt on this hike. Let's see. And someone saying you can't consent to what you don't know. That's a good point.
Right. That was very true.
Are there any more questions in the chat? I'm trying to look up.
Also, shout out to whoever put that orthorexia link. I saw that. I don't remember who it was, but thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. And where can people find you on the internet? I am going to link it below, but where's the best place to connect with you and hear from you and all that good stuff?
So I'm mainly on Instagram, so you can find me at Nick Anderson Fitness. You can also find my website, nickandersonfitness.com, and the Nick Anderson Fitness podcast. Just look up Nick Anderson Fitness. You'll find me.
That's awesome. That's so like consistent. I love a
yeah, I can't change it up too much. SEO too.
Yeah, no, it's great. What do you cover on your podcast?
So I do a lot of different things on my podcast. Sometimes I talk about my stuff. Sometimes I talk to some of my clients about how they have worked on bettering themselves. We've had a few anti-MLM people on there too. So cool. that comes up here and there. Yeah.
It does seem like MLMs are doing damage in the health and wellness space, and that there's lots of opportunity to debunk the shit that's going on with the pseudoscience, with just the bad recommendations, with physical fitness, like in Beachbody, some of their exercises seem wild. I know Gen B has debunked some of their
Absolutely wild. Oh my God. I don't know how many times, because my wife and I did it back in the day, and we
Sure.
both ended up with so many like ankle injuries, knee injuries. My ankle hurts today. Oh yeah, me too. Oh, it's normal. Keep pushing.
Yeah. Yep. It's wild. And again, I want to kind of promote Nick's Instagram. He does a lot of short, informational, high value videos and carousels that answer questions that a lot of people have, and he has some really good debunking like kind of anti-MLM-ish, anti bad diet culture reels that he posts as well. So definitely check him out, and hopefully he will come back on the YouTube and we can talk more about just the mess that's going on in all the health and wellness spaces and stuff like that.
As it keeps unfolding, right?
Yes,
It just keeps
yes.
getting dirtier and dirtier out there.
Awesome. Well, Nick, I really appreciate you coming on, and I had a great time, and I think, I really appreciate your perspective as a certified personal trainer and a nutrition coach, and speaking on this with me. I had a great time.
I had a great time too. This was awesome. Thank you for having me on, and thank you to everybody watching and asking great questions.
Yeah, live chat, you've been incredible, and replay crew, if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments, and I will make sure to try to get them to Nick if you have some questions that we didn't cover
I'll be
in
happy
this
to
episode.
answer.
Awesome. All right. Thanks.